What's going on,
What's
folks?
going
Welcome. Oh shit. What's going on, folks? At the double intro there. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to Bed Boys, your one-stop shop for all your energy drink reviews and performance talks. I'm Christian,
on, Brian?
and we are the Bed Boys. We don't do retakes, except for sometimes we do. But yeah,
But not
got
today, Satan.
That's right. Another banger episode for you guys today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Just a solo duet. Yeah, today I got a drink that you don't like this brand, but I think you might actually like this flavor. It's one of those like exception to the rule type of thing.
I think I know what you're
Um,
doing.
so today, this is fresh. These are recently, I think, released not too long ago. I got an Alani lime slush. So I know Brian is not a huge fan of Alani. This can is I got a sweating cold can. Um, but this lime flavor, I think we saw it advertised on Stack earlier in the year, and we were like, "Damn, that actually looks kind of good." Um, so I'm gonna pop that top, and we're gonna see what we got. I know Brian's not a big fan of the Alani of the other flavors, but new addition, new addition here. So I'm gonna give it a shot.
I will say, off the rip, I don't hate the can.
Yeah, the can is sick. I like the coloring
The
is nice.
green, the all green.
Yeah, the all green is dope. We obviously like their cherry slush, super sweet. I think they have like a blue slush too, like a blue raz one.
Yeah.
But this lime one's intriguing. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop top here, boys, and then we'll get the talking shop.
What was the Casey's C4 flavor that you had got? I think it was like 5 episodes ago.
I believe it was cherry vanilla or cherry
Yeah,
cola. Maybe
cherry
cherry
cola.
cola.
It was
Yep.
cherry cola. So I went at regionals. I went to in Lexington, Kentucky. Our hotel had a Casey's right by it. So two things had to happen. Number one, crushed a slice of breakfast pizza one day. Had to. Number two, searched for like I couldn't remember which flavor it was, but I just like searched all their C4 and I was like, what's not everywhere?
hmm
And they didn't have it. They only had like 6 flavors. They did have the mango fuego, so I did crush that a couple of times. A couple bombsicles, the popsicle flavors, and like Hawaiian punch and the blue Hawaiian punch, which I haven't put on the show yet, but it is really good. Um, I did do a classic. It's been growing on me. This one might need a re-review because it's been growing on me. It's the Ghost Orange Cream.
Oh,
Now the thing is, with orange cream, I thought it was a little played out. Everyone's got one now. The Sam Sulik 3D orange cream is pretty good as well, but it's almost like in 2004 when everyone released a fruit punch and a blue raz, or in 2016 when everyone started doing a watermelon. 2023 to 2026 is the phase of you're getting a creamsicle flavor. Like that's just what it is. Now, Ghost has done the other flavorings of raspberry cream that is unbelievable. The blueberry cream that should be coming out. The 7 Up that never made it onto the show, I'm pretty sure, because I crushed 5 of them while waiting to have the show. And
same.
it's too good. Just know when it finally makes it on the show, it will get a great rating because it's literally a 7 Up with 200 milligrams of caffeine, 150 milligrams of alpha GPC. Like it to a T.
hmm All I know is when they released that A&W flavor, it might be game over.
Who you telling? I love a root beer. I specifically will go to a Culver's and not even get like a meal, which is crazy because Culver's is delicious, just to get the diet root beer because their diet root beer is so good. But let's pop some top and talk some shop. Screaming cold can as well. I mean, I'm sweating on this thing right now. Sweating.
What do you got on the so you said you tried the Mango Fuego C4.
Yeah.
Have you tried the spicy mango 3D?
Yes, I
Which
did.
one do you like better? Because I tried that one as well, both the spicy mango ones.
I think I like the spicy mango flavor, but I think the mango fuego is a better drink. It's hard to
Like
beat that
overall.
formula. It's
Yeah,
hard to beat
I
that
agree. I,
formula.
I like the flavor of the 3D better, but the formula of C4 is
It's like,
a little bit better.
yeah, like a mango fuego is, it's mango, a pretty good mango too, not like artificial mango. And then you get like a little like, it's
A
almost
little
like you did
spicy at
like
the
one of
end.
those, it's almost like you put cayenne in like one of those little ginger shots. It's like, ooh, there's a little burn in that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like the 3D, it's mango, pineapple, and then it's like tahine. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's banger. That's a banger. It ain't all bangers.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah. There's a couple of drinks that I need to like go collect so we can bring them on the show. But the problem is they don't last long in my fridge. As soon as I see them in there, I'm like, "Ah, I'll get another,"
Finish it. Yep.
and then I don't get another. But there was a couple others that were just released. Um, Very disappointed I couldn't get my hands on the cherry cola because you gave it a great review. I mean, it's cherry
That was really
cola.
good.
I think Gorilla Mind is releasing another new flavor, and obviously the spicy mango 3D, the Seven Up Ghost, the C4 Hawaiian Punch Blue Hawaiian. That has to get on there. They're just hard to kind of get your hands on because I don't know what it is. I think it's because guys like us, they find an energy drink and they're like, I'm going to kill this 1,000 times. Let's buy the stock up and then we'll go on and go forth. One of the other things that we didn't talk about the last time we got on the show, one of our guests got married.
Yes.
Congratulations, Greg Torcaso. You have a beautiful wife. You
Greg,
had a beautiful
friend of the show.
had a beautiful wedding. The parents of the wedding, fantastic human beings. Met with Dylan at Towson. He's a great guy. We got a pump the day of the wedding. It was awesome. And Greg did a gangster move, and this was the gangster move. We went to like the groomsmen suite the day of. Obviously, there's going to be drinks and beer and whatnot. He also had a case of the Seven Up Ghost,
Oh,
just so nobody depleted energy. That's a gangster move. And we went to a Planet Fitness because that's the only thing in. I think it's called. I don't even know. They always mess it up, but whatever. It was a little bit on the southeastern shore of Maryland. It's not a huge town, but they had a Planet Fitness. So we went in there. Another friend of the show, Gabe, me, Gabe, Christian, or me, Gabe, Greg, Dylan went and crushed a pump in there, just slamming the Seven Up Ghost Energies, a little 1x20 action on all the machines. That's the go-to.
you already know.
Just go until you fatigue out, and then of course Gabe and I saw some leg extensions and some leg curls, so we hit that too. You have to. But overall, it was a good time. Long drive back. Then the last episode that we were in Kentucky. I was in Kentucky. You were out of town. Kentucky was a good time. We had a couple good performances by 400-meter hurdler. She was 29th in the East region, which ended up equating to 56 in the NCAA with the East and West region. She didn't make it, but she ran a great race. Probably one of her most complete races, and it was just .02, so 200ths off of her previous PR in the 400 hurdles. She ran 58:39 there. So very happy. Couple weird things though, like a girl like tripped, ran into her lane, but we couldn't protest it because because of the stagger at a 400, she was far enough ahead to not impede her. And I'm like, all right. So it's just one of those things. Kentucky's a great facility though, man. Holy golly. If you ever get a
I can
chance
only
to,
imagine.
indoor is literally right behind the outdoor, so we got to warm up in there. The outdoor it looks like like a stadium. It's not like, oh, they have a track, or the track's inside the football stadium. No, it's a full track stadium. um did get a lift in their weight room. We were able to train in their weight room, which they're one of their like five weight rooms is as big, if not bigger, than Alumni Fieldhouse. And it's like, I think that's specifically just like Olympic sports in a sense, or some of the Olympic sports. Every toy you could ever think of, any rack you could think of, attachment, bar, like they had it. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, oh, like, just in case we can't get in, I brought some like straps to have like a plan B and a plan C to do some ISOs and some jumps. Got right
Mm-hmm.
in. Just loaded. Let's get this thing loaded up.
Yeah, that's sick. Also, and we say congrats to Greg. Also, congrats to him on starting a new job. Which, dude, I think it's crazy because in our field, it's common to have to move around a lot. This guy's had 3 jobs and he hasn't had to move out of the same apartment. Is that's like a one in a like
He has
lifetime
a one in a million
chance?
chance. Yeah.
Yeah, like that does not happen. So that's pretty cool too. He's been able to progress and not have to like move at all.
Yeah, he's been able to sit in the same spot essentially and just kind of have his picking. He's in a cool place in Maryland to where he basically has to choose. He's like, well, he used to go north for Towson and he has to go west for Hopkins, and now that he started at Navy, he just had to go south.
Hmm.
Which,
Just got to get you out west, Greg. Get all 4.
yeah, that's all it really is. And that's really cool that he's had an opportunity to do that. I know he's gonna do well there. He also just had his first speaking gig this weekend.
Yes, at Penn.
At Penn, yes. So he went out there and essentially if anyone had a chance to see him speak, it was on using athlete monitoring data to make it actionable. Um, the gist of it is everyone collects data. What the hell do you do with it? Why are you collecting it? And I think he did a good presentation. I had a couple of people there that liked what he had to say. I'm not sure if Penn is releasing like a recording of that, but if so, I would suggest everybody check that out. It was a pretty good talk.
Yeah, it's anyone that knows Greg. If you don't know Greg, he's super good with taking data and actually doing stuff with it. He's not only like a really good coach, but good at using kind of sports science and kind of blending that together into whatever he plans out, building dashboards and stuff. I was actually talking to him not super long ago. He's the one that kind of really both you and Demarco convinced me to kind of get into the Claude, but he kind of really pushed me over the edge because I was a little bit hesitant. I was like, I'm really new to it. He's like, dude, it's super easy. Like just try it out. And like we were
Just
talking
vibe
before.
code.
Yeah, dude. Like we were talking before, it's kind of a game changer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's shaken up a lot of athlete management system companies. If I was, I think there's like separate categories within the realm of, sport. And you have your equipment manufacturers like Sorinex, like Rogue. You have your VBT or like the secondary equipment that's more like technology in the weight room, like a Vald, a Brower, a Dasher, or OVR, Vitruve, those like VBT units, Perch, and then you have like your workout delivery systems, Team Builder, Train Heroic, Team Builder, Train Heroic, um, even if
Bridge,
some of these
fit.
Bridge, Fit, Strength Coach Pro, which is now part of Team Builder. Still looking for that sponsorship, but but then like you kind of get to like athlete management systems, and that's when you look at like I know Catapult doesn't have their AMS anymore, but you have Rock Daisy, you have Conduct, and you have even Smartabase, and these guys. I think that last category is the one where they'll probably be the most affected by this because people are now being able to figure out for $20 a month, I can tell it exactly what I want it to do. It's going to code that and I can make a change to that at any point. And for $20 on my budget, which we all know S&C, like budgets are not plentiful and just money pits that you can pull from. There's going to be a lot of people that transition to that because they're going to get a more customized option and there's going to be the ability to just not spend nearly as much. I still think you'll need your collection of data in your workout delivery system, which makes it easier. I still think that your VBT, those kind of units, the force plates, the jump mats, all those, they'll have their place because you can't replace that with Claude, at least not right now. And then, you know, it's just where does the data go to consolidate and to visualize and to chart and map out? If you can do that, and here's the great thing about Claude is like it's got to speak to text, dude. I go in there, I just click the microphone. I'm like, okay, I want you to show me X, Y, Z, and I need to be. Here's the data. I want you to map it. and then it'll tell you where you need to route the data. It'll completely visualize it. And if you don't like it, you just say, no, I don't like that this looks this way. Change it slightly. Whereas a lot of these other ones they're customized, but they're kind of out of the box. They have their limitations, and you have a waiting period. Claude is coding that in real time. Like you're in 5 minutes, you can audit your entire dashboard and change what it looks like. So I think that's going to be pretty revolutionary. I think at the very least, you'll see it with smaller organizations or Division I colleges, Division IIs, threes, that they don't have the $40,000 to give to somebody. And then you have companies that their whole thing was visualizing the data. I know it used to be GPS Data Viz, now it's Whistle. Like they're probably going to be affected. Whereas a lot of their data was them building charts and mapping stuff out for people. I mean, they kind of cut that out with the ability to do that in Claude. It's a weird time, but it's a cool time. If we're gonna set the world on fire, let's play with the toy.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the biggest things, like you mentioned, is the speed of the speed at which things are getting done. Like a lot of times when you're dealing with, an external company, you're obviously probably not their only customer. So if you want something like customized or change, you have to kind of like, hey, like I want it to look like this. Can you do that? You got to wait for them to get back to you, maybe be able to change it. Versus on Claude, you can be like, oh, like I think this would be the best way to visualize this set of data for our coaches, our staff. This is how I want it to look like. You can do it right there. You can do it right there. We were talking like you can build stuff in just a matter of hours and then kind of reiterate on that over time. And then just being able to customize it to what you want it to look like. Obviously some people are going to have like value different KPIs and different sorts of metrics, have different technology, stuff like that. So I think being able to really like customize it to what you want it to look like exactly, and just be able to kind of, you could change it and revert it back to what it was over time to see which one fits you best. And like obviously said, you still have to have the raw data, but if you have access to the raw data, whether it's from a CSV file exported from any technology you use, or even just like data collected manually from like sprint timings or jump mats, stuff like that, as long as you have it and you format it decently and just prompt it specifically, I think that's really the big thing. Is like, if like we said, like you can prompt it like correctly, it'll do damn near whatever you want it to do, and at a very low cost. My question is, how do you think, this is a good question for you, how do you think this will, if it will, and how it will affect like TeamBuildr or softwares like that, where it comes to like the actual nuts and bolts like programming? Because what's to say that someone couldn't be like, all right, like I have this Excel file of my whole exercise menu with video links to it. Can you build me essentially like a software? Do you think people are going to go more towards that and try to use Claude for essentially everything? Because I think obviously there's a limitation to that in, you have your one account unless you're having like an enterprise account, which I don't know how that exactly works, but like, could people build their own like exercise programming software on their own and say like, okay, this is cheaper, and then I kind of have my AMS integrated with my AMS dashboard?
Yeah,
How do you think that affects companies like that?
I think you're gonna have the people, the 1% who are like, I think I can do this on my own, and they'll want to go buy that and build it. It gets hard when it's who you're giving access to. Does it kind of break, and then do you have the knowledge to fix what breaks and what doesn't on such a day-to-day level? I think that's where like maybe a workout delivery system, or even like a VBT, if it's a visual VBT, like maybe you could code a camera into Claude and have it connect and it'll track that measurement. I think that's where those safeguards are kind of in place to help people. And it also depends on what the company themselves, I believe what the company themselves like looks at with AI. I can speak from firsthand on TeamBuildr, obviously, but like our goal is like, we want to run with AI. We're not scared of it. If anybody truly thinks that what they build is going to be better, then we'll try to keep you. And if not, then we wish you the best of luck on that frontier, and hopefully it works out great. But our thing is like we want to be able to hold you with AI in a sense. Like, and I don't mean like hold you physically like captive, but we're integrating some things into AI that I can't necessarily talk about in the sense, but it's like very similar to what our conversations happened prior, which is, well, why don't we bring some of AI into Team Builder to make your jobs easy? And I think that's where it's going to serve its best purpose. Like we look at these like large or either large or menial tasks, data entry. If you're bringing it over to consolidate and visualize, like that's a big task that this is just cutting that time out of. Or like my one of the ideas I just love is like an athlete rule set where it's like I know this person always has a back issue every time. I'm just going to click boom. Every time you see back squat or XYZ, you're going to go to belt squat and that'll automatically flip that athlete. It'll just scan through and look. That's where I believe like when a company embraces AI, it'll be really, really good for the company because it's going to improve the product versus replace it. And I think that's the thing. Or, I can say this one because on our webinar for Build, James actually released it. Like we're going to put an AI program uploader. All these coaches before they had Team Builder, they had Excel or they had Google Sheets. Drop your program in there. It scans it. It pulls up a checklist page of, hey, you have XYZ. Did you mean this? And then boom, 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 boom. Your entire Excel file is now as a program in Team Builder. Like I think the less people are afraid of it and the more they go, I'm going to embrace this and run with it. That's where the key to foundation, the key foundational piece to succeeding with it versus like being scared of it is the biggest thing. Um, I still think there's there's a little bit out there of someone could try to replace it. But if not, it is what it is. Can you hear my dogs barking?
Yeah, a little bit. It's cool though.
Okay. Okay.
Adds
They
some
saw a
flavor
dog.
to the show.
Yeah, the Beagle Bandit's back. Um,
Yes, in full
but
form.
in full form for sure. But yeah, I think like there's obviously more competitors brings out the best for the customer, which is a good thing. And I think at the very least, you'll see somebody do something that is a good idea that you may not have thought about. And now that we're a little bit more agile with how we can develop because of what we've done with like some of our new developments that are out there that make it a little bit easier for them to get things out quickly and correctly just based off of new coding on the back end. If we see some cool ideas that people are making with Claude, we can put that in, which is really neat because then it just helps the broader base. You know, I think that's one of those things. But there's always going to be that. What if somebody leaves to create their own? Well, I'll be honest with you. When people started first making dashboards and stuff, I was like, I got to see how dangerous this is for us. So I tried to build one. I had it go and go and go and go, and to a certain point, there's limitations to it. I think it can be done, but it's the same thing as when someone makes essentially, they have the DeMarco esque like drop down files of select your exercises and whatnot. And someone says, well, you can fill in that answer. That's great, but like, where's all that data consolidated? And then you have to start paying for either storage somewhere or this or that. So that can be, when you're constantly flowing data into it, you look at a school and say you have 40 sets total in one lift, but you have 37 teams or 40 teams or whatever it is. You have 40 sets by 37 teams, each individual. You're trying to pull that max, and then you're throwing that data back in. That takes a lot. We pay for servers to hold on to that data. So
Yeah, I don't think
that's one
people
of those things.
realize. Yeah, I don't think people realize how like there's a reason why when you have like all those like formulas and codes linked that your computer sounds like it's about to explode. Like imagine, yeah. So like imagine that on like just a much larger scale. But I think you
Yeah.
bring up, yeah, I think you bring up a good point though. I think overall, like leaning into it, not just like as a company, but just like people in general, coaches aside, um, is probably the right move. I think about it like obviously most of us probably started programming with either Excel, Google Sheets, stuff like that. Like that was the delivery format for how we got workouts to athletes for the most part.
Hmm.
Now with services like whatever Team Builder, Fit, Train Heroic, all those platforms. That's simply it's the same thing. We're trying to deliver the program to the athlete. It's just in a faster, more efficient way. It doesn't take away from like the coaching. Like you still have to like write the program, think about it. Not to say that like I'm sure like people are already using AI to like write programs. Not here to say whether that's like good or bad. I think there's good and bad ways to use that. But think about
Yeah.
that. Like that saves people a lot of time. And I think like the new age of AI is kind of just like another step in that of like, okay, you can use this to save you more time. Because I think the biggest thing with coaches is a lot of times we're time poor, especially if you're working with like multiple teams, and you have other responsibilities to do throughout the day. The more efficient you can make that process, the better. The more time you can, whether it's like less time, building a dashboard on Excel when it could be built on something like Claude, that saves you time to either do better with that actual data or to do something else. It just frees up time to do your job better in other ways. I think looking at it as like, oh, like you're just being, because at the end of the day,
Lazy.
yeah, like at the end of the day, you still have to do the work. You can't just be like, okay, make me a dashboard. You have to have the data. You have to have, okay, this is what I'm looking for. You have to be able to prompt it correctly. I think of it if it's used well, and I definitely think there's obviously a point where you can rely on it too much. Um, but I think if it's used well, it's a way to get things done faster and maybe
Yeah.
get you some new perspectives that you may not have thought of before. Because I think a lot of times it's like you have this end vision of like, okay, I want it to look like this, but it takes so long to even get like a minimum viable product that like you may not even like get to that versus like, okay, you get to that point a lot earlier and then you're thinking about, okay, well, this looks really good. This is like better than I ever could have built on Excel. Now what do I do? What would make it even better?
And I think that's a good point right there is when people start to think about how they can utilize it to make their lives easier. Now, I will say, like, AI will never take away coaching in a sense of we're a people business and you can't have a computer do a people business. There's so much stuff on the floor that you just won't have with if you just have an AI run your program. So, for any coaches out there that are like, I'm scared that it's going to take my job, it's not. Um, I'll say that it's not in the traditional sense of a coach. You still have to go out there. You're in relationships. You're actually coaching. You're correcting. You're cueing. You're doing this. You're running that program. It's just going to make your job probably a little bit easier on the back end to show your results for somebody else. Um, if I was one person or one career within the field that would be nervous, I would be a sports scientist in one specific pocket. You have guys, I'll throw us in the conversation. Maybe not. I'll throw us in the conversation or a DeMarco or a Greg where they're going to go, this is great. I get to do everything I was doing, but faster and I can do more now. If I was a sports scientist who was reliant on the fact that my skill set is I can build this stuff, I'd be shitting my pants because your position's not going to be viable anymore. The skill set that will be important is can you interpret those results and deliver them to somebody and have the creative mind to be able to put that into a thing like Claude or Chat GPT, whichever it is, whichever AI, and outfit what you want. Those are going to be the really important sports science roles. The ones that are more so based on, hey, I built this Power BI dashboard, like that's kind of gone, man. Like I built it and I'm maintaining it. Your place is going to be limited in the sense of like that skill set is it's null and void, it's outdated because anyone else can do that now with just the creativity to know what they want and ask the right questions and prompt it in a conversation, which I think that's a good thing for the field too, because what happens with some of this stuff, and I think it'll come down to like good directors, and good directors will do one thing, and they'll say, okay, I have a sports science role. This person's, maybe they're a builder and maintainer. They're not a creative and interpreter. Maybe I have to get a better person for this position, right? Or they get that person to then be more active on the floor and outfit them as a more well-rounded coach. The last piece could be in all honesty, they go, I don't need you anymore. We're going to cut that position. But I'm going to cut that position because I can do everything that you're currently doing with this piece, which it may suck for that individual, but to a certain extent, it's like you've already limited your capacity. And, you know, it's as employment's a single player game, man. Like you have to provide value. And if the value's not there anymore, well, now they look at it and go, well, I have $50,000 to $70,000 of extra salary money. What do I do? What's the number one problem we hear from every coach in the entire industry? Pay. You can redistribute that wealth of the $50,000 to $70,000 amongst the other staff members and get them paid more. Or you go, let's realign teams, and everyone who has 4 teams, you now have 3. And this new person is going to have 3 as well. And now you have either the same pay, more time that you can spend either in free time or producing results or spending more time with those teams and putting out a better product for those teams and serving them more. Or if you have the same amount of teams, you're less cranky because you have $10,000 more, right? Now, that's an idealistic and optimistic perspective because it's a negative situation. And a lot of times, like schools or organizations might go, well, you're already doing the job for X amount of money. I don't want to do that. The director has to become a salesman. I think that's the important part of the director role is it's like essentially being the captain of the team to speak to the coach, right? But in the sense here, the team is the department, the captain is the director, and the coach is going to be the AD or assistant AD that directly oversees them. It's like, can you present this idea, sell it, and say, hey, I have 5 great staff members and I have a sports science role that I don't need the sports science role anymore. This person's looking to leave anyway. Like, let's move on from it and we can redistribute that. We'll close the position, we'll shrink, and we'll expand the opportunities for the individuals who are here. Or I'm going to get somebody else who can be that interpreter and we can take this to the next level, whatever it may be, whatever that goal of the director is. I think those are the situations that we'll start to encounter. And it depends on who's the head in charge, obviously. Are they more self-serving? Are they more, altruistic for the employees that are there? Or is it, are they quote unquote like I don't know, like a legion builder in a sense where they're like, let's just make a super team now. Because now I don't have to get someone who just has the skill set, but I can get someone who's really creative. That I think if I was a director looking at that, that's how I would look at it. But if I was a sports science role where I was providing value by building and maintaining all these dashboards, I'd be shitting my pants and going, where do I go now?
Yeah, I think there's also like I agree with you, but I also don't think like all hope is lost because like obviously we know that you can use like these AI platforms to like write the code for you. I don't know if it's still like I don't know how to code. I don't know if it's helpful because one of the things that's cool is like I noticed on Claude like you can have it show you like the actual code. I can't I just look at it, it's just words. It doesn't mean anything to me. I just like, okay, that's what it looks like. But maybe if there's something in there, maybe if there's something in there where you're like, oh, like I could change this and that would fix this bug, maybe that helps you in that situation. But like you said, I think like anybody else, you have to kind of like lean into it and use it as like a leverage to like, okay, this is my skill set. Don't look at it as like, okay, now this is doing my job for me. Do it. Look at it as okay, now this kind of supercharges my efficiency and my productivity, gives me more time to because a lot of the time I feel like sports scientists end up, what's the stereotype? Just behind the computer, this and that. They're not really like on the floor. One, okay, can you be on the floor to at least like do all the testing, making sure the testing is very standardized instead of just viewing the data on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that AI can't like the AI can't do yet at least. Like, can you standardize, your force plate testing, this and that? And then like we've talked about, like for the majority of people in the field, like you're not going to have like a sports scientist on your staff, so you have to be that sports scientist. Let's kind of flip the script. How about the sports scientist tries to be, fill the role of the strength coach? Like you said, can they be on the floor more? Can they find some other way to provide value? Does that give them does that free up more time for them to maybe test out new pieces of technology and see if that would be valuable for their site
Viable.
and kind of, yeah, and kind of like validate, whether it's worth the money, maybe trying out new types of, new types of GPS systems, or just comparing, different VBT units to see if they kind of like match up, if they're valid, stuff like that. So I think you kind of have to look at it. Yes, like it is a little bit like I guess like concerning if you're in that position, that like, okay, everything that I did and like kind of hung my hat on can be done with these AI platforms. But like you mentioned earlier, like I think like you kind of have to run with it, because if you don't, I think you're kind of doomed either way. At least if you run with it, like you give yourself a good shot of like, okay, like I think you give yourself a good shot of being able to, if you're creative and innovative enough, be like, okay, like no, AI isn't doing my job. It's helping me do my job even better. Like it's actually like helping me in that way. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but maybe it's, I don't know, maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I have to think there's a way that you can make it work for you in that sense.
Yeah, and I think like whether we go a completely negative or a completely positive view, we can't go just straight up to that one side of the spectrum, because that's going to assume no agency in the individual. And when we assume no agency, we assume we're essentially on a fixed track, and we go back 13, 14 episodes. Don't be the train, right? We like don't be on a fixed track. Like pave your path. And I think that's where the people who will strive the most will be okay, and they'll go. I don't I truly believe that it's going to be a net positive for the entire industry. It's just in a very gray area at the moment because it's new. There's no, yeah, everyone wants concrete yes or no's. Nobody has concrete yes or no's. And that's where it'll be. But those who run with it don't rely on it in a sense, but they run with it to the sense of, hey, this can make my job easier for however long it is or whatever it may be. And then be able to move on and pivot if there's a next thing or it goes away. They will be those, but those are always going to be the people who are going to be thriving in a sense. The forward thinkers who can pivot and be adaptable, right? We talked about adaptability last episode. Those people who are adaptable within their career that can use this, run with it. And if it goes away, they can take what they had from it and be fruitful, or at the very least, go to the next thing or whatever it is. The agency is in a very important piece to the individual within their career in this that will make it work the best. Um, and if you don't have the age, and if you assume no agency, I don't think that there's going to be a, it's not going to go well. So, but I guess like in your head, like where does the field, or what comes next? Like what comes next here? Because there's so many limitless possibilities. Like 10 years ago, we would be, if we were there 10 years ago in the career, we'd be sitting in an office drinking these energy drinks and going, you ever think they're gonna, throw something together where we can just put our thoughts into it and it just creates it? Like what, and 10 years fast forward, we have that. So what's next? What's the next thing?
It's a really good question. I'm not sure if I have a if I have a good answer. Um, I don't know if I can predict. I know I can't predict what's next, but I have some ideas of like what how AI could be used in kind of like the next big thing. I feel like,
Okay, let's go with that.
yeah, I don't know what the next big thing after AI is. I think the AI wave is kind of surf for a little bit. I think people are gonna. I could see people, and this has been something that I've been kind of thinking about, is having having their programs. Okay, you're collecting data as you train, whatever KPIs you tend to track, whether that's jump mat, force plate, sprint times, strength numbers, and you kind of plot that over time. And if you're able to know what program, which you know what program your athletes are doing, and you can kind of compare like essentially correlations on, okay, I ran this program, I had X% improvement in these metrics, versus I ran this program, I only had X% of these athletes actually detrained. And I think over time, like I think I see people taking more of like a scientific approach, and I think this can I'll kind of describe like two ways where I think this could go. I think people can take a more scientific approach of like, okay, I ran, X program, and the main goal, I saw really good increases in max strength, or I saw really good increases in, power expression. Okay. I think that's going to help people refine their programs over time. And I think it can go too far, and you can just be like, okay, I drop, power program 2 for all these athletes when I want them to gain power, because it's not all that easy. Like, not everyone adapts the same way. But I think, and this is like something that I think like you can definitely do. It just takes a lot more. It's more time intensive, and you can obviously look at your progress over time depending on what program you ran. But I think people will try to take a more like scientific approach and be like, okay, what are the things that actually like help improve these metrics? And then you find out, okay, this actually wasn't what I thought it was to begin with. And then you're better informed on how to, maybe program later on. Um, I can see people doing that. Obviously, like I said, it can go too far, and you're just kind of like plug and play, copy and paste, and not really thinking about how to continuing to make your programming better. Mm, that's one thing that comes to my mind. I don't know what the next big thing is going to be though. Do you have any thoughts on like either what I said or like what you think the next real big thing is?
I don't know if it's the next big thing. It's something that really entices me about AI. Within AI, there's two kind of components. There is the what I nickname the ether, which is the access that AI has to everything that's connected to the internet, right? And it can go out there and it can search and quickly find. And then the other aspect is machine learning. I really I think the machine learning will become very valuable for the individual, which is at least what I've really started to figure out and like for myself. You know, the machine learning, and for anyone that doesn't know, it's essentially a localized environment where, when I'm talking about this now, I could be fucking dead wrong and everyone else can tell me I'm an idiot and that's fine. But for my sense, like I put machine learning into this is your local environment. It's learning off of what you're putting into it, right? And I've used that a ton in the sense of, like you said, and kind of put in there, this is the program I had, this is the numbers that I got from it, this is what happened. It starts to pick up these tendencies, right? And it starts to look at these errors or statistical anomalies. And that's when you can say, all right, well, I've made this program. You have all the information of everything else I've written and all the results that I've had. Find an error. And you can use it to have an extra set of eyes on your program, and you can use it to audit what you're doing and get creative and find new ideas to pair things up or make something else occur. That's where I really like that. And I've done that with like our track and field programming, to where I'm like, here's everything I did last year, here's the results that happened based off of the year, here's what I've done all fall. We've obviously done XYZ different. And you just start prompting it with these kind of nuggets of information and questions, and then say, this is where I'm planning on going. What do you think of that?
Okay.
And now it doesn't just use an opinion of everything that it's learned. It's using the facts, the information, the KPIs, the data, and then it's feeding you back as saying, hey, you typically never went through a 12% volume spike over the course of all last year. You didn't have soft tissue, but now in this block, at the very least, you're looking at that in a different way, where you may have not caught that you had a 20% volume increase on high speed distance, but you're looking at that block and you're going, if I'm going to have trouble, that's the 1 week I'm going to have trouble.
Yeah. It's
And,
almost
and
like,
it go ahead.
no, it's like you have like your own like personal assistant that is,
Mhm.
but it takes kind of the emotions out of it. Like it's more
Exactly.
objective than like a human could be, um, which is cool and scary at the same time. But it's like having a personal like assistant essentially, right? Like in a sense, you're kind of already doing like what I was describing before in a way. Like you can tell, like, okay, you can look at your program and do the math and say, oh yeah, that's a 20% volume spike. But not everyone always has the time to do that, or your time is spent otherwise. It's just going to make you more efficient and allow you more time to focus on other things that you wish you would have gotten to if you had the time, but you just never have had the time. And obviously, like, as you
Hmm.
prompt it more, it kind of gets to like, it gets to know you, like, in a sense, and it's more like it's very fine tuned to your situation. And that's something that's tougher to get when you just ask, whoever, because they don't know all that context. And our working memories are somewhat limited, especially when compared to AI. Versus like AI, it has all that information, it can recall it upon at any time. And I just think like those insights over time can help you figure out things that you probably wouldn't have came across before without it. It's
I
like having a
think
person. Everyone's gonna have their own personal assistant for the fraction of the cost, essentially.
100%. And now traditional sports coaches kind of typically follow, I don't want to say lazily, but like they follow a little bit behind, whatever sports performance. I typically think sports performance is a little bit ahead. I think you'll see AI infiltrate sports. You'll see it for technical analysis within like the sport of track and field, upload a video, find where they have an issue, etc. But where I really think that there's going to be a big thing, and this is where I should probably go fucking trademark this idea, but you go to like a huddle. They have an AI in there. Once you've fed it all the formations, it's going to tell you the statistics of the tendencies. Every time you play a football game, you get a scouting report. If 23 is in the game, it's a 16% run, but they're going to be 87% pass. And it's usually, if they're in trips right, it's going to be a deep concept out towards the numbers, right? That's where I think it's going to be huge, because then those GAs get to coach more. Then those analysts, you can shrink the potentially, if you're looking at it from a monetary perspective, you can shrink the manpower, or you can have those people doing different things other than just staring at hours and hours and hours of video, because you can just pump the video into there. It'll give you all your statistics, your build your scouting report and go with it. That's where a company like Huddle could utilize AI and leverage it to be astoundingly possible. And for all I know, they could be doing that. Um, but I think like that's where you're going to see that. I think in 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a team probably like Indiana, or someone who's going to, who's already at the top level and they're already quote unquote like thinkers. Like they're going to
Those
be doing
early
stuff like that.
adapters.
Those early adapters, and it's going to become, and then you're going to see it on Sports Center. You're going to see it on ESPN. You're going to see it on this. It's like they used AI to XYZ, and then everyone's going to start to use it. And then a year after that, some company is going to see that first thing, and they're going to go, let's build it inside of ours and we can sell it. That's going to be the next big thing with AI, I think, in sports.
Yeah, like I said, those early adapters, I think they're going to use it to. The people that use it correctly, I think, are going to use it to supercharge their efficiency and like thinking. It's not going to be, and then the people, it'll show like the people that are already like lazy and don't want to do the work, they're going to use it to like continue to do that, and that's what it is. But the people that are kind of those like early adapters, you know, people that think outside the box, stuff like that, they're going to use it to like they're going to be
Like you
using the
said,
same
supercharge.
principles. Yeah, and just supercharge their insights, their productivity, their efficiency, so that they can continue to push forward.
They're going to get that extra 10% out of whatever it is that they're doing, because they don't have to spend 8 hours doing it. They get to spend
Hmm.
8 minutes prompting it,
Yep.
which is going to be cool. And you're going to see, I think it could potentially lead to more wins via the X's and O's if they follow some of what they've done with it. And then you'll see success with it, and it's going to become a regular thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really great point. Yeah, the next few years are really going to be they're really going to be interesting with the age of AI and coaching and life in general. Everyone, I think everyone's going to be affected by it if they haven't already.
I think if they're not, they're going to be a little bit behind within the next couple of months here, because so many people are already using it to, I don't want to say optimize their life, because I hate the term optimize, but they're going to be, if there's things that you don't have time for, it's like, okay, tell me my schedule and things. This is everything that I have. Can you map that out and just plan it? Hey,
Just building
people have
systems.
virtual assistants. Yeah. There's going to be a lot more systems in place and people's lives will become, in a sense, a little bit more structured, but for the most part, a little bit easier because they don't have to sit down for the hour to do something.
I think it should improve like systems and processes is kind of the big thing that I see.
100%. Reduce some bloat.
Yep. Reduce some bloat. All right. Should we wrap this
Short one today.
display up? Yep. A little quickie action.
We got a little quickie today. French and I got a little quickie.
Yep. Let me give this lime slush Alani Nu a rating. I do think you would like it. It is still very, very sweet. You know, it's on brand for Alani. It is a good lime flavor, just super, super sweet. I know you're more of a sour guy, so maybe you wouldn't like it as much as I think. But I do like it. I feel like over the years I've gotten off the Alani's like flavor wise. I used to really like the cherry slush one. I don't like it quite as much anymore. I don't love this one. It is super, super sweet. I'm more of a sweet guy, but this goes a little bit too far. I'm going to give this a 6.1. I'll give it a 6.1. It's not bad for an Alani. I don't think I rate really any of the Alanis above like a 7. And then obviously that Christmas one I had was horrible. So 6.1, decent.
I think my previous review of the orange cream was a 7.3 or a 7.4. I'm not going to go sky high, but I am going to raise it. I'm going to go 7.9. And I think what you just said is the reason why. It is a little sweet, but it's akin to more of a sweet cream versus a sugar blast. And I think those are two different kinds of sweet. And I lean a little bit more towards like a sweet cream, like a raspberry cream, etc., where it's more mellow and it's very smooth. You definitely have a sweet side to it. But like, dude, it's 5 a.m. You're about to start a session, but you don't need something that's going to gut rot you. You can crush one of these. I'm going 7.9. It's growing on me. I'm not an orange guy.
Yeah.
I didn't want salmon. I said it 4 times.
Great movie.
Comment what movie that is down below. Let us know if you guys know that quote.
All right, folks. As always, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to, follow us, subscribe on YouTube, follow the show, subscribe to the show, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a review. It does really help. BevBoys.tv on Instagram. Our personal accounts are always associated with all those posts if you want to tap into some training content. And as always, guys, BevBoys.com if you want to cop some merch. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.